Hi, everyone. This is Michael Kynan representing the TooMedToo's Star Wars Network. We've got your fix. And this is the Bacta tank. This is number 33, I believe. If not, don't hold it against me because, we're just human and it's been a busy week. So I want to let everyone know that I do have a Patreon page. And if you'd like to join the likes of Rural Farm Boy, Mr. Rez, Heidi Feder, Kylo Customs, and Christina Flores, you can go ahead and join them by checking out patreon.com/TooMed2. I just added some tiers in there for this month. So if you get in now, that will still count retroactive to the beginning of the month, and you'll be able to get all of the benefits that come with that. And without further ado, we have today with us Johnny Green. Johnny, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, thank you so much, Michael, for having me on the show.
And you are, well, that just took that off. Hang on, that took here. I switched it up, and then there we go. All right. You have a Facebook group, The Mandalorian and Star Wars Universe.
Yes.
Okay. It's obviously a newer group.
Yeah, I actually started the group the first day The Mandalorian came out. And I was so excited. I just wanted to create a platform where, every day I can go and interact with like my fellow Star Wars fans and celebrate our fandom with this exciting moment in Star Wars history, which it being the first live action Star Wars TV show. And to everyone's delight, the show was amazing and has garnered a whole new legion of fans. And it's been really fun, working with the group and growing it. And I'm quite enjoying it.
Now, since you have a show that's based around one of the newest Star Wars entities to really come out, what do you think that the main point of The Mandalorian is? Or who's the star of The Mandalorian? Do you think it's going to be Din Djarin, or are you going to go with the child?
I mean, I think the child definitely was sort of the quote unquote surprise hit of the show. It really resonated with a mass audience. At the same time, I don't think the show would work without a strong central character of Din, of The Mandalorian. So I do think because the child is just so cute, so adorable, and so expressive and interesting as a practical effect, as a puppet, it garners a ton of attention and makes for really good memes, which is a lot of fun in the group. But I do think that ultimately the show works because of all the main characters, including Cara Dune and including the Mandalorian himself. And I love the fact that the Mandalorian show takes a lot from those Westerns, and it really captures that feeling that the first Star Wars had, Star Wars: A New Hope, and it does it so effectively that I really think it struck a nerve with old fans, new fans alike, and so just been loving that. And also within the group, we cover all Star Wars fandom, not just The Mandalorian, but everything, books, collectibles, all eras of Star Wars. So we are one of the only groups that does focus on The Mandalorian, along with, all Star Wars, all eras. So it's fun because you're not just limited to Mandalorian. You really get to, explore anywhere in the universe. And it's a group that we really try to focus on keeping positive in an area where at times there could be, differing opinions and people that are very emphatic and passionate. We really strive to keep a positive group where everyone respects each other's opinions, even if at times they may differ. And we love Star Wars, period, regardless of whether this may be our favorite movie, our favorite book, our favorite video game. We really try to keep a very respectful community. And I think that brings those warm feelings that Star Wars brings for me. So that's what we strive to do in the group.
Yeah, like I'm one of those people that, if you ask me to rank the movies in order, there's a good chance that a lot of them are going to flip flop depending on what day it is. And the 11th one doesn't mean that I don't like it. It's just my 11th favorite. There's a big difference behind it. Like, I mean, honestly, I've never been a big fan of Rogue One, but the more I watch it and the more I talk about it, I'm starting to like it more. And one of my shows I do, the Holocron House, I do pretty much a deep dive into like the art of books or the visual dictionaries, and I go through page by page, and I do a live chat with a few of the people that you can see in the chat right now. They're usually there, and I'm going through page by page, and we're talking about in the chat, or whether they come on like you are, and we're talking about it, and then I might only do 2 pages in an hour because we get in a conversation about TIE fighters or whatever, for just an example, and other times we kind of fly through. All depends on what the content is, but that's kind of what this network's all about, is Star Wars positivity, and you can have whatever opinion you want. You can think something was horrible, it was the worst movie, you just hate it or whatever, but you still have the other 8 or 9 or 10 that you loved. So it's not ruined by this or that. It's just something that you might not choose to watch very often. I use the example of I enjoyed all of the cartoons. I was late to the Clone Wars. I got into Rebels when it was almost the final season. I watched the Resistance, the entire thing. And there's a lot of people that I had someone on my other show that I do on Saturday nights, the Septic Tank. He said he just hates Resistance. And I said, well, yeah, but you look at it as an 8-year-old because it was geared to a younger person. He's like, well, yeah, but that's why I don't like it. And I said, okay, so it's not for you, but it's not something that you really hate. Just along the lines of, like it's just not for you. So you have to understand that. And we have a request. Johnny, please show us that guitar. Is that a Gibson SG?
Yes, this is a Gibson SG. Good eye there. I'll take it out quickly. And actually, I believe it's a lefty SG. My grandfather bought this guitar for me, and I'll always cherish this guitar. He was like, "Yeah, whatever you want, go buy it." And I was as a really big fan of the Doors, so I always wanted an SG like the Doors guitar player, and and so it's something that I cherish. And thanks for noticing.
And that's the thing about the box tanking. We're here because Star Wars brought us together. But we can talk about anything. So if you want to talk about your music, go ahead. That's what that's fine, and everything else. I mean, cool. I've had people on here for a half hour before we even mentioned Star Wars because of just oh hey, how you doing? And there's really no set schedule or anything along those lines. It's whatever. I can't call it an interview because I talk way too fucking much for to actually interview people. I've done a few I've done some interviews with actors and authors, and I have to sit there and purposely make sure that I'm not talking. And when I do the editing, sometimes that hour ends up being like 40 minutes because it was just 20 minutes of me, just blubbering on. Well, since we're on the subject, we can always get back to Star Wars. We'll always remember that. So, what other instruments do you play?
I do some electronic programming and singing. I've always sang throughout my life, and I'm also a filmmaker. So I've directed several short films, mainly in the horror genre. I'm a big horror fan. I always have been. And I love all genres of film, actually. Sci-fi is one of my favorite, along with horror and fantasy. So those 3 genres are ones that I typically gravitate to, although I will venture out into, drama and comedy and, some other genres. But sci-fi, horror, and fantasy are my passions, I'd say. And I've directed several short films, and I've done that. And just really enjoy being creative and being part of the Star Wars community. But as far as being a Star Wars fan, I've been a Star Wars fan, pretty much as long as I can remember. So I actually have a distinct memory of going to see A New Hope when I was very, very little. I was, a little kid, and it just kind of blew my mind. I'll never forget the first time, you saw that Star Destroyer going over, and it just felt like endless, especially as a kid, and just the awe of it. And it made me feel something that has never gone away, an excitement, and a hope, and a sense of adventure that has really ignited my imagination my entire life. And then I remember after that, I have a really interesting memory of having a birthday party for Empire Strikes Back. That was a lot of fun. So little kids, 20, my mother was amazing, set up a birthday party, and 20 kids watching, and to see that, Luke, I am your father moment, and just be blown away by that at that age, like that's something you can never forget. And then throughout the years, I've always really been interested in all aspects. So I read the comics, and I've read different comic series. I read the books. I really enjoy the extended universe in the books. I play video games. I'm a huge gamer, actually. So one of my other passions is gaming, and I love all types of games. And I do think there's been some amazing Star Wars games over the years, like Knights of the Old Republic, which is a big fan favorite. I even enjoy Battlefront 2, the new one. I think that at first there was a lot of controversy about that game when it first came out in terms of microtransactions in this. But over the years, they have added so much content to it that as a Star Wars fan, you could really immerse yourself in that universe and feel like you're part of those battles from every era. Kind of like my group, the game really focuses on every era of Star Wars. So there's so much variety. It's a lot of fun. But that's another passion of mine is gaming.
Yeah, I grew up with the Nintendo and video games, and was definitely when I was a kid into it. And then around the time that the Xbox, I kind of lost it for a little while, and then around like 2000ish when the Xbox came out, I got back into it. But that was very short lived, and I just really didn't care for it. It wasn't a passion of mine. And then when I was at Celebration, and I was at the panel for Fallen Order, I was like, I am gonna go buy a system now, just so for when this game comes out, and trying to figure out, do I want a PlayStation or an Xbox, and blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, my dog, she knocked my laptop off, and I needed a new laptop. I was like, well, I'm going to get a gaming computer now. Kind of killed two birds with one stone, and that's where we're at now. And so now I did Fallen Order on YouTube and on Twitch, and now I've actually signed a contract with a streaming company where I go online and I get paid to stream. And my thing is Star Wars, so it's Star Wars games, or talking about Star Wars, or whatever it really happens to be. So it just kind of everything kind of fell into place nicely. Not that I'm going to be able to retire off of this or anything. There's very few people that get to. But instead of sitting around the house and playing video games and getting yelled at for it, I'm sitting around the house and collecting paychecks now. So.
That's incredible. It's amazing with technology that we can. That the opportunity to do that is there, and then entertain people playing that, the games as well. And it's just another extension of the Star Wars universe. And yet Fallen Jedi, I think, was an incredible single player game that I think sort of satisfied a lot of the people that had issues with some of those multiplayer traps, like microtransactions that they had in Battlefront 2. But it was such a solid single player game, so incredibly well crafted. The level design and the story and those original, characters, it really struck a nerve. And it's great to know that Fallen Jedi is, or Jedi Fallen is coming out, the second one, and they're working on that. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and it was just, I saw that and I was just like right back into it. But now we have, actually, it comes out tomorrow. We have The Sims Star Wars game, which I already have it. I can't, for some reason, it's not letting you pre-order it. I'm getting the digital copy, and that comes out sometime on the 8th, but I don't know when. So I'm hoping midnight, but it could be 3 in the morning if they want to do Pacific time, or it could be in the middle of the day sometime tomorrow. I'm not really sure. But when when that happens, my plan is I'm going to go on YouTube and stream it on YouTube for a couple hours.
Right.
And then I'm going to start a separate campaign and do that on Twitch for a couple hours. And then I'm going to go do a marathon on Live It and hope that there's a lot of Star Wars nerds that want to watch me play Sims Bacta or Galaxy's Edge or whatever they're calling it now. And kind of waste my day off tomorrow, and then I'm with that. That was a whole other story. But my computer was out of commission for a little while, and because of COVID, I couldn't get the parts. So I didn't have a computer for about 2 months. But I was still doing these, and then I have to turn these into podcast form, which is this is going to be 13 that I'm behind. And at an hour and a half or 2 hours each, you got to pretty much double or triple that by the time if it's an hour and I watch it for an hour and I edit it, it's 2 hours that I'm going to spend. If it's 2 hours, it's 4 to 6 hours. So there's probably about 80 hours worth of editing I have to do. But that's the other great thing about it. I can flip on the camera and do it for the streaming service, and maybe somebody wants to watch me do some editing and kind of double dip in there, if you know what I mean. But we'll come back to Star Wars at a minute or two. But I want to talk because I've seen some of your pictures on Facebook. I'm not sure if they're on your personal page or the group, but some of your movie pictures and your horror pictures. And you also have a great picture of you and a certain Star Wars director.
Yep, J.J. Abrams.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a great story there, actually. So this was 2010.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, it was 2010. It was, I guess it was maybe right after the first Star Trek, J.J. Abrams Star Trek came out. I was at San Diego Comic-Con, and they were having, if you remember the Danny Trejo, Robert Rodriguez movie, Machete?
Yep.
So they were having a special event, and we were able to score passes to it. And it was like in a parking lot outside of the venue. They were basically showing 7 minutes of Machete. And it was really a fun event. They had like a food truck, and Danny Trejo and Robert Rodriguez were serving tacos just as like a little fun thing. Little do we know, Danny Trejo would then go and start Trejo's Tacos franchise. Well, I don't know if it's a franchise, but several stores in LA, taco stores and a donut place. But Danny Trejo became a big food person, but this was many years before that. So, we're at the event. It was fun. We're waiting for the film to start. And who walks up, or is right in front of me, but J.J. Abrams. Now, at the time, I was a really big Lost fan. I actually loved the show Lost. I followed it really intently. I really enjoyed it. And I'd heard over the years he was a big, JJ was a big Star Wars fan, Steven Spielberg fan, and, just sort of that sort of ilk, if you will. But so I just walked up to him and introduced myself and said, I'm a really big Lost fan. Thank you so much for giving me that entertainment. It makes me happy. And he was so humble. He stood right next to me, took really comfortable, really laid back, took a picture with me and took 5 minutes and chatted with me. And he was so humble and so down to earth. So I was excited when I found out that JJ, Star was going to do Force Awakens. And I guess the rest is history there. But it was a very cool experience to get to meet him. And I've met other actors in Star Wars over the years. I actually have a cool Mark Hamill story, if you'd like me to share that with you.
Yeah, I got time. Let's
cool.
do it.
So it was what year? Maybe 2013, maybe 2014. And it was at the time it was called Kamikaze Convention, and then it became Stan Lee's Comic Con. And it's changed now. I think it's Los Angeles Comic Con. So it changed its name a few years, but it was a convention started at the time by Stan Lee, Elvira, and I think one other person. And it was a little bit different in the aspect that in the convention, there wasn't a separate Hall H, if you will, for Comic Con, or a separate room where they would have the panels with the celebrities. They literally had a stage on the floor, the convention floor. And so the actors and directors and whoever else would just like walk through up to the stage. So I was waiting for the next panel that Mark Hamill was at, and who walks by me, but Mark Hamill. And I was so starstruck. I've admired him since I was a kid. I'm a fan of all of his work, including Batman, Joker, and all of that stuff. So, I just said, hey, Mark, thank you so much, for all that inspiration, happiness, kind of similar to what I said to JJ. Because for me, it's about expressing gratitude, because I really do feel that way. When someone gives me this happiness, this escape, and takes me to another place, it's something that I am extremely grateful for, and something that improves my life, and I feel like a deep connection with. So that's something that I like to do. Sometimes when I meet someone, so they know like how it's affected other people. And he came up to me and he says, something like, "That's great to hear, kid." And he literally like gave me a high five. He was so approachable, literally gave me a high five. And I was so excited. I was like, I just high fived with Luke Skywalker. Like, it was like a moment that I will never, ever forget. And throughout the years, I've been lucky to meet Billy D. Williams. I have some really good photos with him at conventions. I remember there was like a big Slave Leia photo shoot, and he was there. And I have a photo somewhere of me, Billy D. Williams, and like 20 Slave Leias. I was lucky to meet, God rest his soul, Peter Mayhew, who is an absolute sweetheart, the nicest guy ever. I really enjoy conventions. And that was one of the other sort of inspirations for me starting the group. Because when I go to a convention, there was something about getting like-minded fans together in the same place. And it's a combination of the cosplay and the collectibles, and the footage maybe from like from new upcoming projects and announcements. That excitement is something that I try to capture in the group and sort of cover those different areas. So for me and for all the other people that love cons, it's a place that they can sort of have a daily place to go, to feel like even if it's 5 minutes a day, that they're at a convention, whether it be, a Comic-Con or a Star Wars celebration, which I was lucky to go to once, actually twice. So so that's sort of what we strive for at the Mandalorian and Star Wars universe. And it's been such a great time. It's been something I've just been so happy about, that I have that outlet to interact with other fans, and I enjoy it a lot. Just between the memes and all the different stuff that we sort of present, the content that we present throughout the group. It's just been a blast, and look forward to having it continue with season 2. And then the great thing about the group is we're not just limited to Mandalorian. Now, Mandalorian is exciting, and it's a really strong mix of content focused on Mandalorian. But, I would say about half of it is everything else. So when we have the Cassian Andor show, when we have all of the other Star Wars shows that are in development, obviously Obi-Wan is extremely exciting. We'll have, all of that content to enjoy and share with people. And it's just kind of a really fertile era for Star Wars right now. And so, there's so many great things to look forward to, and it's just a great time, I think, to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, it is. There's so many things going on, and even with the books being delayed, like the novels for the High Republic,
Right.
There's still. I went through the list of books that I have pre-ordered coming from Amazon, and I get a few of the publishers give me advanced copies. So someone brought up that I'm actually a Disney shill now because I'm getting free stuff from them. And it's like, well, you know what? I guess I am. And you know what? I'm happy for it. I'll be even more of a Disney shill. Give me more books for free. Give me more Funkos. Give me more Black Series. Whatever they want to give me for free, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to be honest about it and say whether I like it or not.
Right.
So, that might not make me a shill. But, that's a contingency point there. So like it's a kind of a joke that I'm a network of one with lots of friends, because it's my network. I do it by myself, but I have a show Collecting with Kylo, which is collectibles, that I do with a buddy of mine. I have the Holocron House that I do. What I spoke about it earlier, and I do live chats with that for anybody to come on with. And there's just, everything. There's people always coming in and helping me out, just because there is so much. Or when I do the Holocron House and I do a book review, I think it's more fun to do it with somebody else and, throw viewpoints off instead of me just sitting here being like, this is what I thought and this is how it is and blah, 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 and whatever. So, it's a network of one with lots of friends, is the way that it happens to be. And, I kind of like it that way. It gets a little bit overwhelming sometimes. And, especially now kind of going back to, I have 12 podcasts to do, that I'm behind on to edit. And, I have this to do, that to do. And like, I have a bunch of stuff coming in that's supposed to be delivered tomorrow, that I usually save it for the show, and I open up stuff on the show, whatever I got that week. And sometimes there's only been 1 week since last October when I started that I haven't had something to open up. And, that was by choice because I opened up that one thing at a different time. But, I still have something for tonight. And, the stuff comes in tomorrow. Well, the stuff that comes in tomorrow is pretty good. A little teaser, even though everybody in the chat will know I don't collect Funko Pops. These might be a Funko Pop that has to do with the Mandalorian.
Okay.
And a little guy that's in that movie or in that show, that is just being released. And then the other one are the ones from what would have been Star Wars Celebration, coming in. So I have the Vader one already, and I already did a video on that. But this is a couple more of the ones coming in for that. So I'll take some time, and I'll probably do it like a live chat and release just for whatever friends want to come and watch, just like this. And then I'll edit it down to, something I can put up like a 3-minute video, just bam, there you go. And everybody will be happy. Because, that's the thing. It's like, I'll hang out with my friends, and my friends watch me fumble around because they can't open up a box for 3 minutes, because I'm trying not to ruin it. And, they can watch it and have fun in the chat, and they get to see it first then. One of the first people to see it. Like a couple of the other ones that I've done, I'm still waiting to edit those, and they're just, the whole thing's on YouTube, but the edited part still needs to happen. But we'll get to it sometime, hopefully, once things settle down a bit. Hopefully before the Mandalorian comes out.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean that's a great thing to have all this upcoming content, and it's better to have more content than less. And it's great that you're so active within the community. That's really exciting, and I'm really happy that I could be part of your show in any way, and just very, very excited about that. And I have such a passion for Star Wars, for sci-fi, for film in general, but really, really Star Wars. That to be able to connect to fellow fans, there's something really special about that. And to do it even on a larger scale, like online, and share it with a large group of people, it's a lot of fun. And it's just a really good time to be a Star Wars fan, and it's only going to keep getting better. And that's the thing for me. I really do like to and want to unite the community and the fan base. And that's the thing. Like, art is subjective. Like, my favorite movie, Star Wars, might be yours. It's actually healthy to talk about it in a very respectful, productive way, where you're sharing ideas. Maybe you're, bouncing back. And as long as we, it's kept to that, I do think it's healthy. And I think it's interesting when the prequels first came out, obviously in the late 90s, there was a lot of blowback. And when you think about it today, and you look at what's the majority of the memes, actually, other than the child and other than Mandalorian, I think a lot of the memes that we see are from the prequels. And these are moments when Anakin first said, "I hate sand," that a lot of people in the theater might like, this is strange. This doesn't feel like Star Wars. But then after people sort of accept that, Star Wars is not just this one, idea that stands still. It's a moving idea over the years, and it's settled in. People now have such a passion and a love for the prequels. So I think it's interesting to see too how sometimes time really creates nostalgia for certain things, or an affection that may not have been there in the first place. And I think a lot of that is because we come into, like, we're very imprinted, I think, when we first fell in love with Star Wars. So, you know, if I fell in love during the original trilogy, when the prequels came out, I'm comparing it against that and that. But once I think you open up your mind and you accept it's all Star Wars, and you take from what you love, and you get so much more. You have a richer experience within the Star Wars universe, and I feel like people are really, really coming along in that way.
Yeah. Well, my it's kind of a hot take on the prequels, and you were saying, you know, some of the cringe-worthy dialect of, you know, I hate sand, or, you know, Anakin trying to mac on Padme, and
right,
you know, it's like, but so yeah, you have two actors that ended up, or that are great actors. I mean, Natalie Portman is amazing, and Hayden Christensen, you know, he's been in stuff after that was really good. He's been in some kind of cheesy stuff, but, you know, whatever. He's doing his thing, and, you know, he's still a good actor, way better than what we saw. But that, I think, comes from the lack of George's directing abilities. You know, like when you take the original trilogy, you just happen to have three amazing actors. So when he's yelling faster, more intense, you know, he should be like a poor director, but he's just sitting here, you know, yelling at these characters to go do whatever they're going to do. And, you know, they were able to do it. And I don't think that kind of translated into the prequels with the actors. But, like, I also look at it and as, like, so Anakin has the hots for this girl who he's been in love with.
right,
And he's never been with another girl. He's always pined over her. You know, he doesn't have any experience. So even though he's 18 or whatever he is, you know, it's the same as, like, if he was 12 years old or 13 years old, you know, trying to kiss a girl for the first time, or, you know, whatever it happens to be. And, like, even at, like, 16, some of the, like, you know, how insecure guys are at, you know, when they're trying to pick up a girl or do whatever, and some of the cheesiest shit that they say. And, you know, it's just, like, unfathomable that, you know, they could ever end up getting laid from that stuff. Well, it's just the same thing. It's just he's just a little bit older because he's never had those experiences before. So it's like that dialogue of both of them talking, and, you know, her being the same way. Yeah, she's had, you know, a few romps or whatever relationships, but nothing really that was, you know, too extremely serious.
right.
You know, so it's understandable that the way that he was talking, and even though it probably wasn't intended that way, and I don't know if it's just me trying to justify it, it comes out as a movie kind of bad, but completely believable if it was to happen in real life.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think it's also the tone of the movies themselves. Like, you know, the tone of the original trilogy was a lot more of a Saturday, you know, morning serial, sort of swashbuckling. I'm not going to say campy, but there was definitely a more campy sort of element to it, which I think made it a little bit easier to pull off, you know, that dialogue. And the prequels were, you know, looking back on it now, I have a, you know, a much different perspective. They were a lot more, bigger ideas, if you will, a lot more politics, a lot more depth, I think. It was more of a tragedy story. It was not as campy. There was definitely comedic elements, of course, but the crux and the core, I think, of the story was a lot more sophisticated. And because of that, it just was a different tone. And I think it was, you know, at the very first glance, it was hard for some people. But I could tell you now, in terms of me, like the prequels, especially Episode 3, is among my top favorite Star Wars films. And I actually do have an affection for all of them. And I always did like them, even in the beginning, but I like them even more now. And it may just be a question of, you know, the years and the nostalgia, and it's sort of comforting. But I don't know, when I watch the prequels now, I just absolutely love them. And I do think the prequels brought in a whole new generation. And then when the Clone Wars animated came out, again, he sort of reinvented it and brought in a whole new, younger, even younger than the prequels generation that, you know, keeps handing this thing down to younger generations that, is now being handed down again. And The Mandalorian, I feel like, is doing the same thing. And even more so, like, I mean, I feel like The Mandalorian has really opened up the fan base to people that maybe never were into Star Wars before. And it just had something that, really drew them in. And so it's really fun as a lifelong Star Wars fan to see so many people enjoying these stories, and then to going back and discovering the old stories and talking about. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the hate for the prequels, and I love them. And like even we were talking about the cheesy dialogue and some of the slow parts. The Phantom Menace is kind of slow in parts, and Episode 2 is really slow in a bunch of parts. 3 not so much,
Right.
But I said this to somebody the other day, and I thought they were going to kill me. That was on the show. I said, A New Hope is kind of boring if you from the beginning. It doesn't pick up till 40 minutes into the movie, and they're like. They said, well, what about Vader coming out? Okay, get rid of the first 30 seconds of the movie, or first 5 minutes of the movie. So the first 5 minutes are great, lots of action, get you drawn in, and then the next 40 minutes are just some kid walking around with some robots and crying. Well, not even crying that his family dies. So it's like so it's like I mean, it really is. But I mean, it's setting up a story, and it's great. And I fell in love with that movie. And I was born in '78, so. Here's what I like to share this little tidbit. I was born in February of '78, and if you go back, there's a good possibility that I was conceived on the 25th of May.
There you go.
I asked my like it was a year ago, but I actually did the math and figured that out, and I was like, I was born into it because of that. I asked my dad, he's like, how would I know? Ask your mother. And she's like, I don't know. Like, why would I know these things? And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess it was a different time. But yeah, I love so that's kind of like my little joke. Like I was conceived on Star Wars Day, so
right.
Yeah,
it's in our blood. It's in our blood through.
Yeah, but it's like I always Star Wars was always there, and when I was probably before I could even walk and I was crawling, I had action figures from my older brother or my cousins. And so it was just always like it's ingrained in me. It was always there. So I can't tell you I don't have a point where I fell in love with Star Wars just because it was kind of always there. Kind of like if you grew up and you had a family dog and the dog was there when you were born and you kind of grew up with that dog. Like you don't have a moment in time when you fell in love with that dog because the dog you always loved that dog. It was always there. I mean that's kind of I don't know. I just thought of that analogy right now, but I guess it kind of works. So we're gonna go with it. But so it's even then getting into the sequel trilogy, I really liked TFA. The Last Jedi I think is the best Star Wars movie that they've ever made.
Interesting.
It's the most Jedi of the Jedi movies, and like this is a great topic or whatever, but like Luke's situation. Everyone that has a problem with Luke, went in there with an expectation of Luke being this guy from Legends, that could pull Star Destroyers out of the sky and crush them into tin cans and this and that. And when you look at it, like his life was kind of just defeat after defeat. His aunt and uncle get killed. There's a defeat for him. So he decides to join. Then he goes to help his friends, and like that's one of the other things. It's like, well, what happened in Empire Strikes Back? People have made the argument that Empire Strikes Back, nothing happens. Luke goes to get trained and ends up leaving, doesn't finish his training, and then doesn't whether he would have stayed on that planet or not. Nothing happened. His role in that movie is inconsequential. I mean, I don't believe so, but it's just looking for, but trying to from a certain point of view, or one of those kind of like
right.
It's a fun talking point. I don't believe it, or think it's an actual argument. Kind of like I don't know if you've ever seen the Funny or Die for Karate Kid, where Daniel LaRusso is actually the bad guy and Johnny Lawrence is the good guy, and like depending on how you look at it, it kind of looks like that. but everything that Luke does, he's defeated, and he doesn't go on, and he tries to save his father, and yes, his father is redeemed, but only in his eyes, in the eyes of the Force, everyone else thinks of him as this horrible person, which it kind of is. I forget one of the podcasts I listen to says, if Adolf Hitler on his deathbed decided to give everything that he had to the Red Cross, does that make everything he did better? No, he's still a horrible person that did one good thing. So it's kind of like the same thing with Vader, but because in the eyes of the Force, the way that it turns out, he is redeemed, but he still lost his father. So yes, he kind of did what he wanted to do, but it didn't really work. And then we don't know what happens. Then we find out, in the story that he's searching for this stuff and he never finds it. And just everything with his nephew and everything he tries to do, no matter what he does, he never comes out ahead. It's always a loss. So what do? He does what what he learned from the other Jedi's that he knew, Obi-Wan and Yoda. You go, if you can't, sometimes it's better to just take the loss and go into seclusion because it's not helping anyone. No matter what you do, it's not going to end up being beneficial for you. Whether it's because the Force balancing things out, or you just kind of suck in life. I don't really believe that, but so it's like, I mean, it makes sense that he decides that he's going to go live on this island by himself and close himself off to the Force because that's the only way that things are going to work. And when somebody comes and finds him, he's like, "Get off my lawn! I don't want anything to do with you." And I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Because I mean, think about it: when if you try to do something and everything you tried to do, nothing worked out the way you wanted it to, you kind of get defeated. And then finally, you're just like, "Well, you know what? I give up." Because it goes to show he's a human. He's a person with us with real emotions. And I like to get into the psychology of Star Wars too, and different characters and how it's affected and things like that. So it's just, I mean, it's completely reasonable if you're trying to show that these people were, that we connected with 40 years ago, or teenagers connected with Luke because they were lost in their ways and then kind of found whatever it ends up being, that I mean, it's just completely reasonable that that's how the human psyche would be.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's totally reasonable. I think it was, a hard pill to swallow for certain fans that felt like his arc kind of, I'm not going to say was completed, but at the end of Return of the Jedi, he all of a sudden was like that Jedi in black, very in control. And they sort of, Return of the Jedi left him at a place where he was very different than, sort of even the in essence, Padawan, in training with Yoda. And then, maybe didn't imagine that. But ultimately, in terms of the dramatic structure, it's 100% true that Obi-Wan went into hiding. Yoda, it's very similar in essence what happened with those other characters. And the more I have sort of sat with the direction that they did with that, the more that I like it, and the more that I think it speaks to me. So yeah, I think it sits well. And in general, I love the sequel trilogy. I think that it's an incredible trilogy of films. And I just really enjoy like digging into it. So, for example, like I love what they did with the Poe Dameron story in Rise of Skywalker, and gave him, the background of being the spice trader and Zori Bliss. And I actually started reading a new book they wrote about Poe Dameron's earlier years, free fall, when he had first met Zori Bliss. And, that was really exciting. When I first sort of, learned about that thread in the film, I'm like, I want to learn more about that. And there was like so many interesting things. And I think it's great. This Rey character just really is, I just love the Rey characters. She has a really great arc. And what I've always understood about Star Wars is, and the way George intended it, it's kind of like poetry. These films are like rhymes, and they rhyme with each other. And in life has a lot of echoes, almost like a deja vu and a repeating, so almost like palindrome. So it makes sense that a lot of these films have these shadows of past and that in a way, like Rey's story could, sort of echo the Luke Skywalker, yearning to get away from, their home planet and wanting to really understand who they are. And for me, I'm a huge Palpatine fan, so I loved, actually, Rise of Skywalker is probably my favorite of the three, and I know that's kind of, at this point, could be a little divisive, like anything, like some people like more than others, but I just really enjoyed Rise of Skywalker. It just really hit me right in the correct spot the first time. And to see Palpatine again and talk about, the Plagueis backstory and give some color to that. And it has a very dark aesthetic to it. And Kylo Ren was one of my, and is one of my favorite characters. So that it really focused on him. I thought that was great. A few things I would have liked to see different. I would have loved to actually see Finn become the Jedi. And they may develop that in the future. I mean, we'll see whether it be in animated or not. That arc's maybe the one that I would have liked to see developed a little more. I felt really satisfied with Poe. I would say with Finn, and I love Finn. I think Finn's a great character. Like and I love John Boyega. I think he's an inspirational human being, a great actor. I just would have liked to, see that arc completed. But I guess you can't cover everything in the film, and a lot of times I feel like they sort of like leave things a little open to then explore those in other media, like comics and books and stuff like that. But for me, I mean, I come back to all of them. It's funny, I really do. I really enjoy revisiting all of them, and either in order, out of order, all the animated, and they're all gifts, really. And I feel like they are gifts to my life, and they make my life a happier place. And that's exciting to me. It's something that I enjoy.
That's the last one is probably one of lower on my list, but I still think there were some great things in the movie. I also think that they needed to make it a 2-part movie, kind of like Endgame. I'm not trying to compare Star Wars to Marvel, but there's so much they were trying to pack into that movie that it was impossible to make a movie that was going to really tie everything together the way that they had it set up. I mean, it ended the sequel trilogy magnificently. Whether or not you like it or not, it ended it. Whether you like the direction that it went.
Sure.
It ended it perfectly and great. People have issues with it. That's fine, but as a whole, it was great. For the entire saga, it was horrible. A horrible way to end it, in my opinion. It was just there was just still so many things that they didn't answer, and there just wasn't enough time, in that movie to do it. I mean, they didn't even really touch on the prequels at all. So like those were kind of just. It was. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It basically just tied the last 2 movies before it together with a little bit of OT and really nothing for the prequels.
I think it's a good point. I think if they promoted that film, not as the last Skywalker film, the end of a 40-year saga, and just the end of this trilogy, maybe people wouldn't have felt that way. But in terms of dramatically, I definitely agree with you. If they had 2 movies, they would have developed that Finn plot line more. They would have, delved into some of those other areas. With that said, I kind of like the frantic pace of it. It feels like it's always moving to me. And I think that's just like a style, or an aesthetic choice that some people connect to or not. Would it have had more depth? Would it have felt maybe more satisfying? I would say so, with maybe broken into 2 films and been a longer thing, but it developed more. But the thing that I think it adds being 1 film is it really does have, maybe more than any of the other than maybe episode 3, a really driving pace. And almost has a fantasy feel, how they're on this journey and they need to go find, the Wayfinder and this, and they're, almost like quests driven, which is extremely like a fantasy sort of plot device. And I just happen to enjoy that kind of plot device, but I can totally see that. One of the other interesting things I think to talk about in terms of Rise of Skywalker is what they did with the Ben Solo character, which I think, is definitely divisive, yet at the same time had so much impact. I feel like it's just been endless conversation and, has been an interesting topic for good and bad for certain people. But I mean, let me ask you, do you think that, Ben Solo could have lived? Do you think that that would have worked after everything he had done, destroyed, the New Republic, and just killed millions of people? Do you think he could have lived, or do you think maybe they shouldn't have gone there at all and he should have just died? Or how would have you seen that? How does that ending sort of sit with you, and how would you, if it doesn't sit perfectly, like to have seen that differently? Just out of curiosity.
I mean, I know it's going to upset a couple people in the chat, but there's no way he could have lived. Like I said before, it's kind of the same thing. Hitler at the end of, on his deathbed, or decides he's going to repent and give all of everything he's stolen or conquered, to the Red Cross, and say, I'm sorry, here you go. This can fund everything now. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just kind of like everything. It doesn't matter what you do that's so good, because there's so much evil and bad that you've done. And, with the fact that people want to say, well, he's two different people. Well, no, he's the same person. He just, was acting a different way. And
I think some people think he was mind controlled, though. Like, literally, he was almost like a victim in a sense. And I've seen that perspective, which, I think all perspectives are very valid. I do. And I respect them all. The romantic part of me almost like wishes that he lived. But at the same time, I understand dramatically, because he's done such bad stuff that he didn't. At the same time, Darth Vader did so much bad stuff. And I don't feel like people had, as much of an issue with his redemption story, although, I know it's obviously in a little different context. I just think it's interesting to think about. I mean, I have heard pure rumors, that they may do some type of animated show where Rey goes into the world between worlds and brings back Ben Solo. I mean, who knows? Maybe that would be interesting. But I think it definitely would have, for the equal passionate fan base that it really pissed off that he killed, I think it definitely would have pissed off just as many people if he had lived and it was like a happily ever, after scenario. But I will say I enjoyed seeing him that short period as Ben Solo in that sweater, and, just to see the contrast and have those few minutes. I did really, really enjoy that. And maybe it is that thing that gives you hope, even though it might not have been realistic, to see someone live out that redemption. It's sort of cathartic. And then to have seen it maybe a little more would have been interesting. But I think that's a good point that you made earlier. If there was 2 movies, they would have been able to, to do that more. But for whatever reason, this was how they wanted to structure it. And it could just be they wanted to sort of have a clean slate and start doing stuff that is not specific to the Skywalkers. And, as we could see what they've done with The Mandalorian, it's a really uniting story that I feel like almost all Star Wars fans seem to like. So maybe they weren't quite so wrong in that respect, but it's an interesting topic for sure to think about. But at the end of the day, I really accept all of them and love all of them. And even if there's a thing here I would change or a thing there, I don't know. I just enjoy them for what they are. And look, but I do like to discuss all the different angles, because that's just fun to do as a fan.
Yeah, and I mean that gets into, like, I'm one of those people that say, you can want things to happen in a movie, but characters don't deserve anything. It's not your story; it's someone else's story that they're telling you. So you can want things to happen in a movie or whatever, but you can't say a character, this character deserved this or this character deserved that. You can say that you wish the character was handled better or whatever, but it's not your story to tell, so you really don't have a say in it. To actually be upset about something like that. And but I mean, I expect, and then I'm also at fault for it. I expected this last movie to tie everything together, but I mean, the only way it tied it together is Palpatine was still alive, and he's from the prequel trilogies. So that's the only really thing. And if they wouldn't have, said that it's, to end the saga and everything and make it seem like it was going to, maybe I wouldn't have had I wouldn't have had the expectation that if you're stop ending a 9-movie series, it's going to kind of encompass everything, not just the 2 movies that came before it. But I think, like, the only thing they could have done to keep Ben alive was if everyone thought he was dead, and he went to go live on Tatooine with, in the hut that his family was from, and that was, I think, the only way that they'd be able to get that. That's the only feasible way to let him live, because you can't. What are you gonna do? Throw him in a prison for the rest of his life?
Who are we talking about? Kylo Ren.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't. I mean, if he does live, he can't just be let free and I'm sorry, whatever, or well, it was mind control of the Force or whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're, if you're brainwashed. If you were to brainwash someone for them to go out and commit murders. And I'm not saying that you're a murderer or anything, and I don't know you well enough, but if that was to happen, I'm breaking story right here. And now whoever you brainwash goes out and kills people and murders for you. Those people are still responsible for it, but they end up in a psych ward, or they have a much less sentence. Just like with Charles Manson. Charles Manson has people go out and kill for them, and you know what? Those people that went out and killed for him, they're still guilty. You have to, even though you're brainwashed, you still have to, pay for your crimes. But we put you in mental hospital. We put you on medicine. We, do whatever. You're only doing 20 years in prison instead of life in prison. Whatever it happens to be. So, I mean, the only options they have is, kill him, put him in prison, or fake his death and Ray's the only one that knows he's still alive, or whoever knows that he's still alive. And that might have been a better way to go if they would have kept him alive, and hidden. But then he can't come back. That's the whole thing. Once you find out he came back, it's done with. It's over with. Just like in Bloodlines, when they find out that Leia's father was Darth Vader, she's done. Well, she had nothing to do with it, but it just happens to be that your father was, and you lied about it after you knew for however many years, and because it wasn't her, but she was still pretty much ostracized and, had no credibility anymore. And that's how she went to go start the resistance. But, so they let Ben Solo live, and then what do you do with him?
Unless they wanted to make him, Ben Solo, kind of like, for lack of a better term, like a John Wick, where, yes, they did find out he was alive, and then people came to try to capture him and kill him, and it was sort of like a chase movie where he's like, on the run, getting away. That could have been an option. Or the only other thing I'm thinking of off the top of my head is if they had done a thing where he died and then Ray went to the world between worlds and brought him back, and they changed his identity. I mean, it is sci-fi. Maybe they could have changed his look. He could have had some type of like they do that in the new Ridley Scott Raised by Wolves show, which is interesting. Really good show, by the way. But where they put something like on his face and it like all of a sudden he looks like a completely different person. These are just ideas I'm thinking out loud. But within the traditional Star Wars context where they wanted to make it sort of like a rhyme or mirror what's happened with Darth Vader, I do think it makes sense. At the same time, there's a part of me that would have liked to see more of him, only because I loved that Ben Solo part so much. To have seen him have that, it's interesting. I'm definitely conflicted about it, but it's something that I think a lot of fans talk about and sort of dissect and go over. So I guess it sparked conversation, right? Like at the very least, it sparked conversation.
Definitely. Now I know you don't have a lot more time left, so I would love to continue talking about this with you because this is interesting and it's a great conversation. So I hope that you'll sometime come back or whenever you're free. Like right now, I just posted the chat. If anybody has any questions, they can either hop on here or put them in there. We do have one question. I do want to touch really quick on the Mandalorian, if you have time to. Here's a question: who is Anakin's real father? The Force. It's pretty much, they made it was hinted that Palpatine or Plagueis, they were manipulating the midichlorians or whatever. That's true, but because of the Sith alchemy they were doing, the Force created Anakin.
Right, to balance it out.
Yeah, to balance out what they were doing. So, yes, Anakin was created because of Palpatine, but Palpatine did not create Anakin. There's a big difference there. And that's the comic book came out and people went crazy, and the story group said, no, that's not right. You're looking at it wrong.
Exactly.
It doesn't say that. It says this, and we got to go with what they say because they're the ones that are telling us the story.
Yep.
So, any predictions for season 2, or what do you think's going to happen?
I'm really looking forward to finding out. I mean, I think there's a possibility we find out who the child's species is, which is, a question of Star Wars fans, discussing what Yoda's species is, since Empire Strikes Back. So I think that's really exciting. We obviously have left season 1 with the dark saber in the hands of Moff. So we're set up right there for an interesting battle. And I do think the dark saber is going to fit in pretty heavily, just because that is part of the lore of the Mandalore culture, who holds the saber sort of as the ruler. So there's going to definitely be something tying in with that. And I think we're going to see a lot more with Moff Gideon. His character, he has hinted, we barely scratched the surface with what he's doing. It'll be interesting to see if Kuiil comes back. I have a strong feeling Kuiil will. And I hope that, that will happen. He was such a fan favorite, and the I have spoken sort of tagline really connected with a lot of people. I mean, it appears that he was dead, but like with all sci-fi, never say never. So it'll be interesting. And I would probably put a bet in some way that he'll be involved. I think it'll be interesting to maybe find out more about Din's background, of maybe, some of his younger years being raised by the Mandalorians, learning more about the mythology and the lore of the code, and really getting more into Mandalorian. What is a Mandalorian? What defines that culture? And then, I'm sure we're going to have a ton of conflicts in terms of people trying to retrieve the child. I mean, my sort of take on it is, they want to get the child to clone him, to replicate those powers, maybe make Force-sensitive clones. I mean, there's so many things, I think, but it's obvious in the first season that he's an asset. He's wanted by the remnants of the Empire, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that. And it should, obviously a lot more child action and Mando sort of relationship building, different planets. I think we're going to see. Hopefully, we'll see some space battles, and there's talk obviously of Ahsoka showing up, which would be extremely interesting to see a live action Ahsoka. Fan favorite, someone I think that would really excite a lot of the fan base for the most part, to see how they play out that character. It's possible that Ahsoka trains the child. Maybe we could see some of that. Seeing the child learn more powers, I think, would be really interesting, because he's just sort of exploring and learning more about his powers. And hey, we may even see some more droids. That might be possible as well.
So the child, is it a boy or a girl?
They've said a boy.
They called him he, but my whole contention point on that is, you see a dog, people be like, oh, he's a good boy. Right. Even though it could be a female, for whatever reason, we just say he when it comes to that. So just because once or maybe twice they said, I think the client might have said he, and then the doctor said he, but I don't take that as, I still think it's a boy or a male or whatever. Or maybe we don't know. Maybe they're, we don't know about their species yet. So maybe they're 500 years old before we find out if they're male or female, or, not only. Okay. And then my wild theory, just to leave you with this, is that all of the Yoda species are force wielders, so strong, whatever. But like you have the outer regions, the unknown regions.
Outer rim. Oh, the unknown regions.
The unknown regions. So that's where the Chiss are, like Thrawn or whatever.
Right.
Well, and they say, the outer regions are what they don't know in the core. Well, who's ever in the outer regions has to know up to a certain point in the outer regions. So then, like to the outer regions, there has to be an outer regions. I think that's where Yoda's species from. So he's from not just like the outer regions, not just from outer space, like super outer space. That's where they come from. And there are a dime a dozen. They all have force powers, so they're kind of negated. It's kind of like Superman. Everyone's a Superman on Krypton, except the sun keeps them from having the powers.
Right.
And they come here and they just have Superman 2. They just have the run of the planet. It's kind of the same thing over there. Everyone is so strong in the force that it doesn't matter if you have force powers. Everybody has them. It doesn't. It's not a big deal. And then they come here and it's just like, holy shit, these guys are so powerful, more powerful than anything we've ever seen before. Except for Anakin.
I love that idea, and just it gave me the image of like, they're going to the unknown regions and they need, so we see this really exotic planet. And then, like you said, they find like hundreds of childs, and it's like, it's a whole, and we really then dive into like episodes about this, this civilization and, this species. And finally, after all these years, we learn so much more about that. But at the same time, like you said, they're not as special there. And then the child sort of has a choice. Does he stay with his people, or does he, keep his pledge to Mando and the Clan of Two and continue on the adventures and sort of become a Mandalorian? That could be a really interesting conflict that is developed later on, either next season or who knows, even, down the line. But I love that idea. There's so many great places that they can go with it. And it's coming up real soon. So I'm very excited to find out more.
Are we going to see the child in Mandalorian armor?
I think we will within the series. I do. Whether it be next season, maybe not, because they probably want this show to go on. Like I'm thinking, like 5 seasons, maybe more. So that's going to be a huge reveal if that ever happens. But I think we will. I just don't know about this season. I think if Ahsoka is in this season, I think we're definitely going to see her training the child and more Jedi stuff, which we really didn't see almost at all this season. So that would be a cool like Jedi flavor I think they could bring into it. That would be cool to explore. But there's so many avenues. It's such a great show. I mean, it's just endlessly exciting, and I'm really looking forward. And luckily, it's coming up really soon. And I'd love to come back and talk with you about it more once the show starts, and maybe we could pick apart some of the episodes or just talk about it further.
Definitely, yeah. That one of my buddies, Mike, he lives in Queens. But it's still, you lived in New York, so you understand. Going from Brooklyn to Queens without a car can take 2.5 hours, depending on where you're going. And it does. It takes, I got to take the F all the way down, and then catch the other train, and then hop on the LIR, take that to the end, and then I still need to take a cab for 20 minutes or a bus for an hour, or have him pick me up or whatever. So it's the same thing. But we did Coruscant Coach's Corner. I don't know if you're a hockey fan at all. Hockey Night in Canada. So Coach's Corner. If you watched any of these episodes, you would understand why it's like that, because that's just kind of the way that the electricity is with us. I'm not Don Cherry though, unfortunately. I'd love to be. I don't have that charisma. So we never did the last one, but he was on a couple weeks ago, and he's like, yeah, let's finish him up. Let's do him next. Let's do him for next season. But yeah, we I'd love to have you on either with him or instead of him, or however scheduling worked out to be. My last question for you, so I won't keep you any longer. Can Baby Yoda speak? And if so, is his speech normal?
I think he can speak. If we sort of think about, Yoda could speak, so why wouldn't he be able to? I just think he is young. I mean, even at 50, he's very, very young, for the lifespan of that species we know. And that's a great question. I mean, I think a lot of us speak as, we're brought up. If I was born in, the UK, I would have an English accent. So, if he's not being raised by his species, is he going to have that sort of trademark speak that Yoda has, where he, sort of talks backwards and the sort of speech patterns that we know and love with Yoda. I think that'll be interesting to explore. I think if he's not raised by his species, maybe there's a chance that he won't talk backwards, but I do think he's going to speak. Do I think he's going to speak next season? No. I think they're going to want to really keep him as a child for a long time because he's so cute that way, and everyone wants their little baby toys, and and even if he gets bigger, he won't get that bigger, but there's something about him being a child, I think that is really appealing, and it's really hit a big nerve. So I feel like if that happens, it may be another season or two down the line. I don't think he's going to speak next season, but it could happen. Anything could happen. But if I had to guess, I'd say no. But I think he definitely has the capability to speak. I think he's just within his lifespan too young at this moment to speak. Or there's a small possibility he's not speaking on purpose, but he seems to have a lot of trust with Mando. So you would think that it's probably not that. Yeah, we'll see. But I think he could speak eventually.
Yeah, my idea on it is, I use Spanish as an example because I was there's a big thing called Baby YodaCon. I'll make sure I give you the links to that's going on. I was on a panel with a bunch of people last week or 2 weeks ago for it, and I asked them the same question. I said, well, listen, I said, you guys, one of you was Spanish was your first language. The other guy is fluent in Spanish. I said, in Spanish, they kind of talk backwards. The nouns and the verbs are backwards. Right. So if you were never taught the way to speak and then just translating it, you would speak, backwards. Or if you're writing it down, you would speak backwards. Or translate it to them, we speak backwards. I think that's kind of where Yoda comes in to play on that. So the child will have absolutely no troubles whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting to find out.
All right. So really quick, let everyone know where they can find you once again.
Yeah, so we have a Facebook group. It's called The Mandalorian and Star Wars Universe. So please come to Facebook. Just do a search. You should find us easily and join. We'd love to have you as part of our community where we celebrate The Mandalorian and Star Wars all day, every day. And please come and celebrate with us. And thank you for having me on the show. It was really an honor to be on your show. I think you're doing incredible stuff within the community, and it's really an honor. And I look forward to coming back anytime and chatting with you. And I could talk about Star Wars, all day long, like a lot of fans. So for me, I would love to come back and chat with you at any time.
All right. Well, every Monday night I record at 9:30, which is 6:30 your time. So if you're free, hang out in the chat and ask your questions and do whatever. And then at the end, after you leave right now, anybody that wants to come on and chat with me about Star Wars is more than welcome to. So that's why sometimes the show ends up being 4 hours long, because it's like, okay, I'm going to leave now. Everybody have a good night. And somebody else pops on and says, oh, hang on, I want to ask you a question about something. And there's an hour-long conversation about why Yoda has 4 hairs on his head instead of 3. Or something like that.
Do you bring those people onto the video chat, or is it through sort of the chat board, or how does that work?
I'll bring them on here. I posted the link for anybody that wants to come on. So if there's anybody that wants to come on, they can come on and talk. So when I started doing this, I would take I would just take this and put the entire thing to podcast.
Right.
And it doesn't make for good listening, because the couple times that I stop talking to you, I'm looking at you and you can tell that I'm thinking. But if you're just listening, you can't tell that there's a 3-second pause. You're like, wait, what just happened to the audio? There's
right.
Something, and sometimes there's actually even longer pauses or whatever it might be. So yeah, and then I just started doing just the conversations that I had with ever my future guests. But now that's the thing that's going to be taking so long, is trying to clean those up and get rid of those and turn them from the YouTube version to the podcast version. So
right. That makes sense.
Like all podcasters say, oh, don't listen to my first 20 episodes. Don't listen to my first 20 episodes, because you're going to hear a bunch of crap in there or not hear anything in there, which is more of an issue.
Right. It's an art form, definitely.
Yeah.
It's an art form. Cool.
And it's something that I want to take a little bit more time and kind of make it a little bit better. And some of my friends have amazing production, and I don't know how they do it because they have sound. They put sound effects in there and clips, and it's just amazing. Right. But yeah, I just wanted I just want it to be a little cleaner. Basically,
that. Yeah, well, I think as artists or just people in general, always looking to improve and sort of someone that's reflective can see areas to just make everything better, and I think that's what we're striving to. So that's great. But I really appreciate what you do, and thank you so much for bringing that to the community.
Well, thank you. Well, now I have the equipment and the programs to do it, so it's just going to be over time learning to make it better. So I was exploring my one of my programs today, and I was just like, oh my God, I can actually make content that I feel good about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How cool.
So, all right, Johnny. Have a great time, and thank you very much.
Thank you. May the force be with you, always.
Always. May the force be with you.
Have a good one.
All right, that was Johnny Green from the Mandalorian and Star Wars Universe Facebook group. With that, I say good day. Nope. I just need to make sure. I was thinking about it while we were doing the chat. I don't know if I got all of the patrons on there, so I'm just going to start over in case I missed any because I'd feel horrible. For the patrons, we have Rural Farm Boy, Chris from Kentucky, Mr. Rez. Oh my God, why did my mind just go blank now? Heidi Fetter, Kyla Customs, and Kyla Ren Flores. With that, I say good day. May the force be with you. J Bones, what's going on, man? Jay, are you there? Jay?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, Jay? How you doing? I thought today might be the day that Pauline comes on, and we could talk about some hockey night in Canada.
Not much, man. What's going on with you, Michael?
Everybody playing hockey in Toronto right now. Not too much. I mean, there's not. I don't think. I mean, I wasn't on.
So,
I really wasn't on Twitter too much today. I went on there.
Yeah, I'm in here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I know you're here.
Can you hear me? Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jay, I can hear. Jay, I can hear you. You're on about a 3-minute delay.
Oh, I'm doing good. Doing good. Well, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's not any news really. I've been playing the fuck out of some Sims lately. I logged in since Wednesday. I've logged in 30 some hours of the Sims. So there's that.
Okay. Sorry, it's just that I think somehow or another, just like I kind of figured that.
But I want to so there's the Sims Star Wars. So I had to buy Sims 4 so that I could get Sims Star Wars, and I've been playing it and I get an idea of what to do so I don't look too horrible with it once it starts. It comes out tomorrow. I'm not sure when. I'm hoping at midnight. So if it comes out at, like I said earlier when I was talking with Johnny, when it comes out, I am going to hop on YouTube and I am going to play a little bit.
I kind of overheard about Johnny and you, and like y'all was talking about the games and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And I heard about Star Wars Battlefront 2. So I was wondering which version was he talking about?
Oh, I don't know. I could. Well, you're still on Facebook, right? I'll send you an invite to his Facebook group. Um, he's always on there. He's always posting. I think he posted 4 or 5 memes or pictures today, or a story or whatever. Um, but I mean, yeah. As far as I know, that's really the only news. The we talked about the John Boyega story on Saturday, I believe. Um, that's just kind of my viewpoint on it was you know Disney fucked up. There's no question about that. You can't say anything that they didn't. And they tried to make themselves seem good. But the problem that most people have is that when they think of Disney, they think of the happy times at the park and growing up with the movies as a kid. They don't think of them as a corporation
Hmm.
that their responsibility is to the shareholders. It is not. It is not to.
Well,
It is not to.
I
Well,
was
no,
just asking because
it's not to.
I came in last night.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find that out though. But that's my take on it. You know what? Yeah, Disney did something bad, and then try to fix it by saying, here's a story. Let's talk about this instead of that. Which it's a despicable thing to do, but they're a corporation. They're going to try and minimize their losses, if you will, with that. So it doesn't surprise me at all because we see the face of Disney being Mickey Mouse and happiness and everything like that. But when it comes down to it, it's just about making money because if they're not making money, their shareholders, aren't going to be happy. And there's a good chance that people that are sitting on the board have no idea who John Boyega even is. And, so like, that's not even, a concern. So, I mean, that's the small and short of it. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and say, boycott Disney. Disney sucks because they're a corporation, just like every other corporation, trying to make money, but they have a really pretty face. That's just kind of what it comes down to. And then so the Sims Star Wars game, man, you're gonna have to be watching for me because I am gonna put I'm gonna play it first on YouTube as soon as I get it for a little while, and I'm gonna play it on Twitch, and I'll send you the link or the links on Facebook. I posted it today for Live It. That's where I've been streaming and talking Star Wars. That's kind of I'm contractor with them now, so that's kind of my obligation to them. I'm now actually part of the entertainment industry. I don't know how you consider it. Some people like, oh, you're a like that are on like are performers or whatever. Like there's people that sing and there's people that do paintings and art and whatever it happens to be. I play video games and talk about Star Wars.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good.
So and you can download that app and come check me out on there. I'm always there, and you can type your question, and and that's the perfect time because then I can just sit there and talk. I don't have anything else to do, so I just sit in front of my computer like this, and I play video games and I talk about Star Wars, and hopefully enough people want to hear me talk about Star Wars, and yeah, but then we got so I have that game to play for a while. And I haven't even touched Thrawn yet. There hasn't been a book that's come out since I started this YouTube channel and had an account with Audible that I didn't finish in the first day. And Thrawn came out last week, and I still haven't even touched it yet. Well, to be fair, I didn't get my copy of it until Friday. I didn't have it on Audible, but I was waiting for the book. But I still haven't even touched it. It's still sitting there in the bag. Danielle yelled at me today. She's like, "Hey, what are you doing? You got stuff on the table, you got whatever." But I do have some stuff. I guess this is going to be a short episode unless anybody else pops on, or unless you have any more questions there, Jay. But yeah, I'm not sure what's going to be happening because I have those two boxes that I know are coming in this week, and they're supposed to come in tomorrow, and I'm going to do videos on those and put those up. So we'll see how that goes. But I got this. If anyone knows what this is. Jay, you're on the show. You know what you need to do. Anybody? Someone. Hey, what's in the box? What's in the box? Okay, boo-boo. Let's see.
What's in the box? What's in the box there, Mike?
Thanks, Jay. Thanks a lot. Well, these actually came out a little while ago, but I haven't opened them up yet. I don't know if you've ever heard of an author for Star Wars named Kevin Scott. Anyways, he is writing a comic book right now. And we got this one right here, Shadow Service. And we also have this guy right here. Same one, same issue, just a different cover. Same one, same issue, just a different cover. So there's that. So I got those. And it's not Star Wars, but read my bio. It says Star Wars or whatever I feel like talking about. So that's what we're going to talk about. But it is someone who is a Star Wars author, so I have his books because of that. Now we have George Van, who came out with these three, and I still have over here of Engine Ward. And I have the other ones. I'm way behind on them. They're in the mail coming. His 2 episodes or 2 covers for season or episode 2. He has 2 variant covers for 2. Those are on the way. And there is a 4th variant cover for episode 1 that is on the way also. But it's Star Wars. It always comes back to Star Wars. It's always Star Wars. Jay, you got a question for me? No? All right, there we go. Paulina, we're coming in big with what's in the box. I don't even know what this is. I really don't. I thought I knew, and when I looked to see what it was, it was said to, I don't know what it is. Entertainment Earth. What you got? Came in a couple days ago, and I was like, gee, let's see what we got. So I might have a couple of videos to do and edit for us. So let's see what it is. I don't know. Oh, damn. That's pretty. Looky here. You're not going anywhere, Jay. I'm just picking this up. That bad boy.
Man, so
carbonized
Huh.
Boba
So,
Fett, baby.
what?
Woo!
Huh. So, I mean, like, why? There's one thing though that kind of gets me. That, I mean,
You don't like Black Series figures? This one is.
okay. I really hate this dang 3 minute delay thing.
All right, Kat. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for hanging out with us. It was a great time.
May the force be with you, there, cat.
May the force be with you always. That was fucking horrible. So what's up, dude? What was your 3 minute delay question? Like that Mandalorian thing's badass, bro.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, well.
Oh boy, I tell you, uh, being with a Star Wars fanatic is really kind of something, though. I mean, you can learn a whole lot more from watching movies or playing games, cause I kind of like the conquest better on stuff like that. It's really good for the strategic and it really kind of gets your mind focused some. But now I did now there are some other Star Wars is done. Well, there's one I kind of happened to seen, and well, I wish I could show you what I got some months ago back, but it was kind of pretty funny in a way. But I think uh, have you ever watched shows of Mad? You know the like the Mad magazine and the Mads on the show.
Jay, well, let me ask you one thing, okay? What everybody wants to know is why do you have your camera off? Are you naked again? They're talking to me while you're naked? Oh, I forgot we're on a delay. Pauline, like keep an eye on.
What are you talking about on that?
Pauline, keep an eye on YouTube. Over the next couple of days, I'll try and make sure we send you an
Okay.
email
What?
about that. That is a really long delay.
What?
So yeah, make sure you keep. I'll make sure. I'll try to. I won't say I'll make sure. I'll try to remember to get a hold of you through email because I know you're not on Twitter or Facebook, and so you can come to the live
That
chat when I do.
is kind of a bit
What I'm probably
hard.
going to do is I'm going to do an unboxing of everything. But I'm going to do it like I did the last time where, it's going to be a longer video, but I'm going to do it like I'm breaking it up. So I'm going to, say, here we go. Hi, 30 times, or, hi, this is Michael, blah, blah, blah. And we got this toy. Okay, goodbye. Boom, boom, boom. Talk to you guys for a second. Just keep doing that over and over and over. Get those all done in one shot. So there's going to be a video out there that's a big, long one like that. And, I'll probably stop that. I'll let it air live. Anyone that wants to see it, and then I'll stop it and throw it on the Patreon for them, and then break that up into smaller parts and put that out there. But I'll make sure we get a hold of you because it's going to be the Funkos I have coming in and that guy right there. And there's still a bunch more coming out too. So we got a lot coming out. And
Okay.
figure it out. Jay, I was talking to Pauline. She asked a question in the chat. So that's what it comes down to. You know. This guy. Hi, Jay. Jay, I am Boba Fett. The carbonized Boba Fett, Jay. Do you have any clothes on? Jay, are you naked, Jay? Pauline, you don't need to come on and talk if you don't want to, but just so you know in the chat, you can hang out with us while we do it, because that's what I think I'm going to start doing with a lot more of my videos. I'm gonna do unboxings, like just a regular chat, like, hey, come talk with me, whatever. We're gonna talk, and then I'm gonna ignore the chat, and I'm gonna do it like I'm trying to do just a regular video, and then do my regular video, and it might take a couple takes, it might mess up a couple times, and whatever it is, and then stop, boom, there we go, and then go back and talk to you guys in the chat about whatever it was. But alrighty then. Yeah, well, that's it, man. That's all we got for today. Anything else you got, Jay?
Well, actually, I was wondering, also, like, why, why, has, well, actually, though, I saw something on YouTube, some time ago, and it's, about, like, some of these here comics, and, there was different comics with Darth Vader going through, different, places, uh, even before episode 4 ever came, and also even before episode 5. Um, I why There's only one thing though. In one of the comics that but I believe it's done by Legends anyways. But it's I heard that some comics are pretty good. Said that some of them said that Padme was still alive. Kind of a little bit uh I was kind of a little bit awestruck on something like that. Have you
Okay, what
ever
happens is
seen anything on
that
on the
was
comics
that was
of
that was the
on Darth
recent.
Vader on that one there, Michael?
I sure have. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can tell you the answer to that. The answer is in the Vader comics. Vader is
Uh,
going and searching, and he ends up going and seeing Padme, but it's not Padme; it's Sabe, one of her handmaidens, because he was going to find out about the children afterwards, because he knew that there was a that she was pregnant. But if you watch the um, episode 3, when she's buried, they fake to make it look like she's still pregnant. So she still looks like she's pregnant. So if anyone was to ever question it or ask, her child died. No one knew that was having twins, anyways, which is still irrelevant because her child died, it doesn't matter if she's having 1 or 2. Unless one of them survived, but they both survived. So that's what he's going to find out the answers for that. And he goes to where Padme's apartment is, and he sees Padme, but it's not Padme; it's her handmaiden. So that's where that comes about. There was a lot of speculation because that is the last. This was, it came out before COVID, so there's a long delay, and the other one's coming out, I believe, is what ended up happening. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So, like, the last thing we see is the last page of the comic is Padme. So now everyone is like, oh, what's going on? Is she back? Blah, 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 whatever BS. And then it turns out, nope, completely reasonable explanation. The person that is her twin, basically, he went and found her unintentionally. No, I gotta wait for Jay to answer.
Okay, okay, I got you now. That kind of put a more light into my brain, cause I just happened to sing. Well, man, wow. But man, that's pretty good on that. Uh, I didn't actually quite catch you on the last part, or whether if you're trying to get me on here and talk more about whenever you play the game and stuff, because I'm in that delay thing, and I couldn't actually understand what you were saying, because it's like it was all ruffled and everything because of my Wi-Fi and stuff like that. It's gone crazy. uh, but what did you actually say on that? Because I didn't actually quite hear you on that.
When I get caught up with everything else I have to do, I will have you on to talk about video games once I get them played. But like right now, The Sims Star Wars is coming out, so I'm going to be playing that. I'm not going to be playing the old games, so I need to get that caught up. I have 12 now. After this one, it's going to be 13 podcasts to edit and put out. I just told you I have. I don't know. It's coming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Funko Pops and that Black Series to do videos on. So it's I got a lot. It's probably going to be at least a couple of weeks, because you figure even if I edit, if I spend 4 or 5 hours a day, because since I'm out of work and not doing anything, maybe I go back to the doctor at the end of the month. Hopefully he'll give me the green light to go back to work. But even if I spend 4 or 5 hours a day editing the videos, that's still 13. That's still 2 weeks. So that takes us till the 21st before I'm caught up. Not to mention, those 2 other ones. So now we're at the 22nd, 23rd, and that's if I, just get them all done. And that doesn't include anything else. That doesn't include my books. So basically, we're talking about by the time I'm going to get caught up, I'll hopefully be caught up by the time Squadrons comes out, and then I'm going to play Squadrons. So it's probably going to be at least a month or so, at least.
Squadrons. Squadrons. I never heard of Squadrons.
You what? Jay, you might not ever be allowed to come on here again.
I never actually heard. I never actually. Well, I'm being serious though. I haven't even heard Squadrons. I haven't been tuned in much and stuff like that, because dealing with family wise and other things around. I never actually. I never heard of it before. Can you shine some light on that? Because if it's a computer game or app or something, I probably don't know. But or if it's a game on console or something, I could probably figure it out. But I never heard of Squadrons before.
It was announced a few months ago, at least, if not longer. It is going to be. You can watch that. They have a couple of trailers on YouTube. It's a one-player game to go through, kind of like Battlefront was, but you can also do 5-on-5 fighting with. There's 5 different craft on the Empire side, and 5 different craft on the Rebel side or Resistance side. I don't even know which side. Same thing, anyways. But somebody's gonna be like, "No, it's not. What's wrong with you?" But yeah, it's the same thing, man. And it's also available for VR. So if you have Oculus or anything like that, you can do it like that. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. I am definitely going to tell you to go and, well, you know what? You know what, Jay? That didn't work.
Some tells me you're going to put it on here and let me see what it looked like, and I could get a good idea of what it is, ain't it?
Hell yeah. Okay, well. Here we go, Jay. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Lay it on me, brother.
Oh, I'm going to lay it on you.
Ready as can be.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years, bro. All right? Just simmer down now. Oh, I didn't share it, did I? Son of a bitch. I'm new here, Jay, all right? Audio share. You need to hear the sound.
Go ahead, man. Take your time. I got plenty of battery life.
Is that what they call it now? I got battery life. All right, this is the official trailer. So they announced the game a while ago. This is the official trailer from 2 months ago. We're going to give it a like since we're showing their content. I might as well give it a subscription too. Thanks, EA. You guys are great. We love you so much. Don't kill me. Make it big like that for Jay. Come back over here to StreamYard. There we go. All right. Are you ready?
I'm here.
The second Death Star is gone, but the Imperial fleet is still a threat. Vanguard Squadron, let's make history.
This is it, Titan Squadron. Everything we've done has led to this. Finish those Vanguard scum!
This is Star Wars Squadrons. Earn your wings in a single-player story spanning 2 factions.
All stations! Fire on that ship!
And master multiplayer battles as a squadron of 5. With the option to play the entire game in VR. This is the definitive Star Wars pilot experience.
Come on!
You'll begin your career in a single-player story.
Welcome to Titan Squadron.
Where you'll play as 2 combat pilots, flying for the Empire and the New Republic. You'll experience this world through your cockpit. The instrumentation in front of you provides critical feedback about power management, targeting, and shields. With a squadron of diverse characters at your side,
showing up on my end.
skilled on increasingly challenging missions.
Hello, Vanguard. Welcome to the Nadiri dockyard.
One of my spies has linked the attacks with the New Republic Starhawk project.
The story of the 2 pilots you play
Stick together.
will shape the balance of power in the galaxy.
Get ready!
Let him have it!
To take the fight online, you'll need flight time with all 8 ships. Fighters are the most flexible and versatile, able to handle any situation. Interceptors are fast and highly maneuverable.
Let's get him.
Ideal for hunting down your opponent's starfighters.
That was kind of fun!
Support ships can keep allies safe and stocked up, as well as disrupting enemy fighters.
Light him up!
Bombers are the heavy hitters, able to deal devastating damage to enemy flagships and starfighters.
But if you've got a preferred component and need something customized, I'll take care of it.
Unlock everything you need to customize your pilot and starfighters simply by playing the game. From cosmetics to an arsenal of over 50 components that alter how your ships fly, fight, and survive.
They're on you!
I'll deal with it.
You can dramatically change your loadout depending on your squadron's strategy. Finally got him. This will be critical in Star Wars Squadron's multiplayer mode.
How long does it take to load?
Dogfights. This is an all-out 5v5 battle.
Vanguard 5, that was the best!
Fine-tune your loadouts to work as a team.
Moving in on the enemy.
Utilize components like tractor beams, turrets, and mines to slow down your opponents or set up your squad mates for the kill.
Rebels unmarked.
For teams looking for an even greater challenge, it's time to prove yourself in Star Wars Squadron's signature mode, Fleet Battles. Fleet Battles are multi-stage conflicts. Whether playing solo or with friends, you'll have the option to compete against other players or AI as a squadron of 5.
Don't worry, I got him for you.
Meet your team in the social hub to solidify strategy, coordinate loadouts, and prepare for takeoff. First, push the front line by winning the dogfight in the center of the map. Next, attack or defend 2 medium-sized capital ships.
We've lost our capital ship.
And finally, the ultimate goal. Target and destroy the subsystems of your opponent's massive flagship and take it down.
Shields are disabled.
At each phase, your squadron either pushes the line forward or falls back to defend.
Keep our flagship safe.
It's your squadron's choice of how to play.
I'm hit!
Speedy, unrelenting assaults.
Stay together, strike quickly.
Stealth and subversion.
Jamming the enemy. Sensors can't spot you.
Or brutal bombardment.
That ship is vulnerable. Take your shot.
We need to hurry.
A unified squadron is the key to victory.
Making my attack run now. Let's make this count.
This is Star Wars Squadrons. Join the galaxy's finest.
Hey Michael, is it on? Cause somehow or another it's not showing up on my end.
This galaxy.
Yeah, the videos were played on YouTube. It's almost it's over.
Huh? I don't know why. Somehow or another on my end is not doing good.
All right. Well, here I'm going to play the next one for you too, and then when this is done, we're gonna be done with this show, and you can go and watch it.
We all choose.
How's that sound?
Oh, okay then. I can't see it on my end. I'm seeing on my end is the TooMedToo's Bacta tank. That's all I'm seeing.
We all choose our path, light or dark, freedom or destruction. The Empire chose to destroy Alderaan in order to spread fear and douse the fires of rebellion. But the heroic pilots of the Rebel Alliance have chosen to keep fighting, to show the Empire that we are not afraid.
You know what, Michael? I'll just look it up on YouTube, maybe tomorrow or whenever I get the chance.
The Empire lives on, shattered though it may be.
It's alright, dude.
Well, you're talking over it. Everybody else is talking.
Hoping to end our new republic before we find our
Oh, sorry.
As their empire collapses, they try to tighten their grip. But the galaxy is changing, and you can be a part of it. With the help of brave and daring pilots, this war can end. Make a choice. Fly with the New Republic. Change our galaxy for the better.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Hunka, narrative producer on Star Wars Squadrons. Our single-player story is one of daring pilots and deep-seated rivalries.
Take Titan Squadron. Hunt down this Starhawk and eliminate it.
Gladly, Admiral Sloan.
Over the course of the story, you'll fly as 2 pilots on opposite sides of the war. And, like all modes in Star Wars Squadrons, you'll have the option to experience every mission fully immersed in VR.
Wedge Antilles, Rogue Squadron. I hear you're the reason I was able to finally get a comm through.
Today, we're giving you a glimpse of an early Imperial mission behind enemy lines.
One of our spies, Agent Thorne, has discovered vital intelligence on Project Starhawk. Your mission is to extract her from an orbital outpost above Hosnian Prime. Behind enemy lines, you'll have to eliminate perimeter defenses. The outpost is defenseless. When you've secured the area, you will escort the Gladius to the outpost, and our extraction team will acquire Agent Thorne. Once Thorne is secure, reach your Gozanti cruisers and return to the Overseer.
Cover our escape and escort us to the jump point. We have Republic corvettes inbound. Move, Titan!
Ladies, change course and keep Agent Thorne safe. Titan 3, take out those fighters.
Understood. I'll handle it.
You have my thanks, Titan Squadron.
No time to celebrate. Move on.
Go, go, go!
Each mission will immerse you into the escalating conflict between the New Republic and a shattered empire. Debrief with your squad mates between missions.
You're our new wingmate.
Customize and master all 8 starfighters and join the galaxy's finest.
I need you focused and ready to go.
From bombing runs at the Nadiri dockyards to setting a trap in the Xavian abyss, the story of these rival squadrons will push the war to the brink and define the galaxy for years to come. I look forward to seeing you in combat October 2nd.
All right, Jay. Well, I'm sorry you didn't get to see any of that, but I mean, as soon as we're just about done, you can go back and watch the last 10 minutes of this. You'll be able to watch it then. I don't know why you weren't able to see it. What? Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Then I really appreciate that.
All right. Well, Jay, thanks for stopping on and chatting with me. I will see you Sunday. If not, keep an eye on
Hey,
the.
it's all right, dude. I felt the same way Saturday.
Keep an eye on YouTube because I will have some videos coming out in the next couple days. Some short little ones, but short little ones are better than no ones, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
All right, no problem, dude. It's all right, dude. I appreciate that. Yeah, I understand.
I got to rest up, so
that, yeah.
well, it
You
depends.
just have a good night's sleep, man, and I'll talk to you later.
If it's 12 o'clock and it hasn't dropped yet, I'm going to go to bed. If it has, I'm going to be up all night playing video games. So that's where we're at. Have a good one, brother. Peace. All right, everyone. So yeah, we had a nice little chat, and then we had a nice little chat, and then we watched some stuff to keep us going crazy for 20-some days away. With that, I say good day. May the force be with you. Always.